Welcome to the Chronicles of Pipe Smoking. This is lesson 4, types of tobacco. Now, generally, pipe smokers tend to categorize pipe tobacco blends into 3 different categories: aromatics, non-aromatics, and English. Okay, so we're going to distinguish those 3 different topics, and we're going to also talk about actual different types of tobaccos that are in these blends. Let's start with aromatics. Aromatics are flavored tobacco blends: cherry, vanilla, chocolate, all those flavors that you might known throughout the years and smelled. Oh man, that smells great. That's aromatics. Aromatic, to make an official aromatic title, a top dressing is added to the tobacco blend. What does that mean? Okay, so after the blend is complete, you have different types of tobacco blended together. Before it's packaged, there's a top dressing applied. It could be put on as a spray, could be sprayed on, it could be poured on and mixed, it could be put in as a fog into a tumbler. Think of it as a salad. You have your mixture that's complete. You have your salad that's complete. You got lettuce, tomato, onions, carrots, whatever's in your salad, croutons. But there's no salad dressing on it. What you have right there is actually a non-aromatic. That's the non-aromatic category. The aromatic is your dressing. You pour your top dressing on there. So you pour your Italian dressing or your blue cheese or whatever. So now you have an aromatic salad in comparison. So that's what an aromatic is. It's a finished mixture with a top dressing on. There's all different flavors out there, many different flavors. Your non-aromatics, just like I just described, it's a blend of mixture of different types of tobacco with no top dressing. It's just natural tobacco flavor. You experience all the different blends, all the different types of tobacco blended at different percentages. You enjoy the tobacco that way. There's no vanilla, there's no chocolate, none of that. That's what a non-aromatic is. The third category is English. Now, this might be a little confusing. An English tobacco is a blend that's mixed with a certain type of tobacco called Lakia. Lakia is not from England. It's from the Eastern Mediterranean. It's actually a Turkish tobacco. But it goes through the smoke process. They smoke it with oak and pine and brush. There's a certain recipe they have for plants. They smoke it. Tobacco's hung, smoke goes up, and the tobacco kind of ingests the smoke. It's a black tobacco. It turns black, pitch black, like this chair behind me. And it gives off a real potent, smoky flavor. Okay? So when you mix that, a decent amount of that mixed in with other natural tobaccos, it gives you the English category because you always taste that in that blend. Okay, let's talk about different types of tobacco when we covered the categories already. Let's start with Burley. Burley is a type of tobacco. It's high nicotine, low sugar. It's typically air cured, which is just hung in a barn and cured. It's brown looking. And it's very useful, and it's very, they use it a lot in cigarettes. It's used a lot as a base for aromatics. Aromatic spray, fog, whatever, tends to absorb a lot. The Burley absorbs that a lot more than other types of tobacco. Smoke straight, it gives off a nuttiness. Good Burley will actually give off kind of a chocolate flavor, a subdued chocolate flavor, but it's mostly known for its nuttiness. There's actually, there's Burley blends out there. Most of them are pretty strong. They're high, Burley has high nicotine, so keep that in mind when looking for Burley blends. The next big tobacco is your Virginia tobacco. Virginia tobacco is the opposite of the Burley. Low nicotine, high sugar. And with a high sugar content, it ages like fine wine. It ages, it's the best tobacco to age. It can be smoked straight. It can be in with other mixtures. It's literally the best when treated properly. It's the best for aging straight. And it gives off a sweet note. Fresh Virginia can come off as hay-like, bread, earth, nothing too deep. There's a few types. There's golden, there's orange, there's red. Red Virginia being the most potent of the Virginia family. And it's very versatile in blends. Very useful. High sugar content, best with age. Next on the lineup is Dark Fired Kentucky. Dark Fire Kentucky is a Burley that's smoked over an open fire in barns. It gives it a very, very, very dark, brown, almost blackish look to the tobacco. Straight dark fired is very potent, like a barbecue smell to it. When you smell, it has that barbecue flavor to it. And it has very high nicotine. It's a high nicotine blend. It's, Burley's high to begin with. The fire and the smoke brings it out even more. Good blends out there that carry Dark Fire Kentucky usually mix with other components, and you still get that heavy barbecue smell and dark fired taste. It's a deep earth sweetness to it when smoked. Very enjoyable. Smoked Burley is basically what it is. Now we're going to talk about Perique. Perique is grown in Louisiana, mostly in St. James Parish. A very small farms are down there in Louisiana, produce a certain amount of Perique a year. And Perique goes through a process. It is bundled up, put into wooden barrels, similar to whiskey barrels, and pressed under high pressure from the lid. For about 6 months, it's taken out. Everything's taken out, the air flipped over and pressed for roughly another 6 months or so. It takes quite some time to make Perique. What this does is it's very potent. It ages along with fermenting in those barrels. It comes off as very peppery, black pepper, when used in blends. A lot of it you get a high percentage of Perican blends, it will come off as figs, dark fruit, plums. It has that deepness to it. It has depth. It will give your blend depth to it. Very useful in Virginia blends. Virginia blends and Perique blends are very popular. They're called vapors. VA for the Virginia, PER for the Perique. Very popular in flake form. Perique is known as just a condiment tobacco for its potency. So if you see Perique in your blends, be ready for some spice. Lakia. I briefed on this earlier with our English blends. Lakia is grown in Eastern Mediterranean, Cyprus, Lebanon, that area. Syria used to carry Lakia, used to make it rather. It gets smoked over different types of plants, pine, oak, all different types of combination. There's a recipe, and it's pitch black, and it has that real smoky flavor to it. It really enhances the blend into a different type of smoking experience. So if you see any English blends out there that have Lakia in them, it's worth a try because it's a different type of smokiness. Next, we have Turkish tobacco. Turkish tobacco is grown in mostly Turkey. The most popular, there's different plants out there. The most popular, I believe, is Izmir. There's Smyrna, Samson. There's a handful of different types of Orientals. Orientals are more found in your English blends, mixed in with your Lakia. You want a true English blend that you would find, Macedonian leaf and stuff like that in there. It's also used with Virginias. It's very tasty with just a Virginia and an Izmir, say, combination. They're very tasty also. Gives off, smell wise, it's kind of funky. Fermentation, it's a weird, it might be off putting to some people, but smoking it is a total different experience. You don't have that funkiness. Some are a little spicy. Some leaves are nice condiments that really get the blends very interesting. Last, I want to talk about Cavendish. You might have seen that around. You might have seen black Cavendish. That's in names on blends and stuff. So Cavendish is more of a process. It's not a plant. You can't find a tobacco Cavendish plant. Cavendish is a process. It's basically pressed and steamed. It's kind of a hot press. Steamed almost like a pressure cook. And it's ages and ferments under pressure and heat. Comes out pitch black. Now, it's done to Burley, it's done to Virginia. Cornell and Deal does the red Virginia Cavendish. So they treat their red Virginia, which is already high in sugar and high in nicotine, and they treat it with a Cavendish. So the Cavendish process actually, when you heat or stove something, a lot of the nicotine tends to dissipate. But when you use something like a red Virginia, nicotine is still there because it doesn't get rid of all of it. So a lot of the mild Cavendish blends tend to be mild because they used milder tobacco, then made a Cavendish out of it. Heavy Cavendish blends tend to be quote unquote hot air blends because there's a lot of the stuff had burned off during the fermenting process because it's heat. When you heat something up, you stove something, you change everything that's going on with the blend or the particular tobacco in general. So that's your lineup, your basic lineup, basic description, your basic 3 categories of different types of tobacco, different types of tobacco blends. Hope you enjoyed this lesson, and we'll see you on the next lesson.